You're listening to the Life Like You Mean It podcast, episode 9. Have you ever been in a situation where your mood changed when someone else walked in the room? Or perhaps you started a conversation feeling happy and content and left it feeling tired and sad? Today we're talking about the importance of grounding your energy to protect yourself from negativity. That's the energy coming from people and draining situations. Most people don't intend to steal your energy. In fact, they're oblivious to their actions. It doesn't really matter, though, because the result is the same. They are in awe of your energy and they want it. Instead of being willing to learn from you, grow and heal to create their own positive energy, they seek to simply take yours. You know these people are in your midst because they're the ones that leave you feeling drained. My guest today, Lindsay Banks, author, intuitive energy healer, speaker, channeler, and manifester, knows exactly what it's like to need to energetically protect yourself. Lindsay is supporting people on their spiritual journey and helping them to reunite with their inner selves. She works with energy every day, giving tarot card and past life readings in her role as a medium. She's been channeling the Pleiadeans, a type of higher being, for many years now, and even channeled them in order to write her book, A Gentle Hug for the Soul. It wasn't always this way, so how did Lindsay become the spiritual being she is today? Well, in 2016, Lindsay lost her best friend Lisa to cancer. The grief hit her hard, and she came to realize how emotionally numb she'd been for so many years. A full-time mom to 2 children, living in a routine existence devoted to doing everything for everyone else, her Groundhog Day was her reality. Finding her way back to Reiki along with an Access Bars taster session left her feeling like her personal hard drive had been reset. Like what so commonly happens with energy work, a change had shifted something major within Lindsay. She went home and set her first boundary with her husband, something she had never done before. This new mindset led to a snowball effect, and by 2017, she was dealing with the aftermath of divorce. Now Lindsay has her own business and a new purpose in life, to connect people with their spiritual side, whether that's through pop-up meditation days, online mentoring, or her second book, which is in the works. Are you ready to learn Lindsay's top tips for grounding yourself in order to protect your energy, to help you cope with difficult situations and people in your life? This is such an incredible conversation. We talk about so many cool things. I just know you're going to love it. So let's dive right in and let you meet my friend, Lindsay.
You're listening to the Life Like You Mean It podcast, where we firmly believe that you, and only you, have the power to make the changes you seek in your life. Survivor of 10 years of child abuse, Lisa Banks, will help you to empower yourself to overcome your limitations, in whatever form they take, to build the life you truly deserve. It's time to hear from fellow experts who know firsthand what building a successful and satisfying life because of our past experiences is like, and exactly what it takes to do it. If you're ready, willing and able to get honest with yourself, roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty with the hard work that lasting change takes, you're in the right place. Here's your host, NLP practitioner, speaker, Reiki master, author, and chipaholic, Lisa Banks.
Today's episode is dedicated to daily greatness, offering the best planners I've ever seen or used to help you change your habits and hold yourself accountable to your goals. After offering their original planner, they've branched out to now offer the most incredible planners for parents, wellness, yoga, business, and success. I started with the business planner and was, and still am, blown away. I've simply never seen anything like this. Everyone knows that changing or making new habits takes perseverance, and that's where a lot of us go wrong. We have a great goal and even a plan to reach the goal, but we don't hold ourselves to implementing the plan for more than a few days or weeks at most. That's where this planner comes in. You see, daily greatness understands that the way you start your day determines how you spend your day. And of course, the way you spend your day determines your future. The intuitive flow of the daily greatness concept gives you a foundation and a structure to your days that support you in achieving your goals. That's right, not only are you setting goals with these planners, but you are following up on those goals, changing your disempowering habits to empowering ones, acknowledging your strengths, challenging your fears, and so much more. For more information about these awesome planners, go to lifelikeyoumeanit.com/planners. Again, that's lifelikeyoumeanit.com/planners. Welcome, Lindsay, to the show. It is so wonderful to have you here. I am so excited about our conversation today. The first thing that I would really like to just get out of the way here is what the word spiritual and spirituality means to you.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me. So the word spiritual and spirituality, I feel it's a funny one because it's not really a religion, and it's not, some people think like it's a hippie thing, but it's about believing and having faith in a higher power, in the universe, a belief in things that you can't necessarily see or explain, but that happens. And I think it's like the way that I describe it to people is just that I have this innate trust in the universe that it knows better than I do what's best for me and where I'm going, and it puts things in my path which helps me on my journey. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I just think it's good to get that right off the hop out of the way, because I think there are a lot of people that confuse religion with spirituality. And of course, if you're religious, you tend to be spiritual, but you can be spiritual without actually committing yourself to a particular religion. There's a lot of people that I know that are quite spiritual, and they really like different aspects of different religions, and so they don't like to pin themselves down to one religion, and they like to kind of pick and choose, if you will. And then I know other people that don't believe in religion at all, but they actually are very spiritual. They believe in a higher power, they believe in a higher self and in guidance and that type of thing. They just don't believe in going to an actual building called a church to be able to celebrate that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. So like I do like bits of different religions, and I think, oh, I like that bit and I like that bit and I'll take that bit. And I think when you're spiritual, it's about you creating your own book of rules, if you like, and your own manual for how you want to live your life in a way which is like, you know, true to you, and where you're following your heart and living from a place not of fear, but of like joy and happiness.
Yes, I love that. Now, were you born this way? Did you just always have this kind of innate sense of a higher self, or how did you find your way along this path?
Yeah, no, my dad was a milkman when I was younger. So he used to drive his milk float and deliver milk. And my mum has worked in the civil service for a long time. And they weren't particularly spiritual, but they weren't particularly religious either. There was sort of that middle ground. And my mum tried to take me to Sunday school when I was younger, but I used to run away because I didn't like it. So we stopped going. And I think I used to love listening to ghost stories as a young girl, and I always felt as if there was something in my house. But then, I just got on with school. I was quite sort of academic, went off to uni. And it was only when I was on a gap year through uni and I was studying international business in Hong Kong, which is so far removed, you know, from my life right now. But whilst I was there, a friend of mine had gone off on a retreat, and he'd come back saying how he'd been laughing and crying. And like now I understand it, but back then I was like, why would you go somewhere which is making you cry? And he said, I've learned this thing called Reiki, Lindsay. He said, yeah, try it. So I remember he placed his hands on my back, and I just remember feeling this intense heat. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Anyway, I went home and completely forgot about it until I got myself a graduate job working in a large retailer in the UK. Right. And I was working there like ridiculous amount of hours a week. I was working like anywhere between 45 and 60 hours a week. And I felt really, it was the first time I'd really felt stress. I'd been there a couple of years and I was working my role and another manager's role. And the company underwent a restructure, so I had to reapply for my job, which I didn't get. I broke up with my boyfriend. I moved house. I was like, where am I at? What am I doing? And then I remembered Reiki, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and try it again. So that's sort of where my spiritual path started, really, sort of having a Reiki session, and then from there it just sort of progressed, really.
That's awesome. I had a very similar experience. I'd been looking into different aspects of spirituality for a while in my late teens through books, right? My mom had given me this amazing book from Shirley MacLaine called Going Within. And I remember I was probably only 17 or 18 when I started reading it. And wow, I mean, she talks about having out-of-body experiences and auras and, just all kinds of things that just blew my mind and just intrigued me so much. But they were just kind of things that I was reading and didn't really even think about applying them to my existence at all until I stumbled across Reiki as well. And it's so interesting how a lot of people just kind of stumble into the big things that are going to change their lives. Can you just explain to the listeners what Reiki is in case they've never heard of it before?
Yeah, so Reiki is a form of energy healing. So basically the Reiki teacher or the Reiki practitioner acts as like an in-betweener, I would say. So you as the client, you would lie on the bed. You know what as well, Lisa, right? The question I get asked most with Reiki is, do you have to be naked? And I'm like, completely not. Please keep your clothes on.
I love it.
So the client lies on the bed, and because they're an energy being, all you're doing is acting as an in-betweener. So you basically utilize the energy from around and use it to sort of to help balance their chakras, to remove any stuck energy that's within their sort of energy field. And it helps people because it's not often out of our day that would take sort of 45 minutes to just relax fully. And when the body's relaxed, that's when we then start to sort of like heal ourselves as well and make ourselves feel better. So a lot of people say they feel calmer afterwards, they feel less stressed. There was one lady, the first session she was literally sobbing on the bed because she'd done no healing on herself for 16 years and she'd gone through a lot of stuff. Wow. And the second time she came in, she literally bounced through my back door, and I was just like, the change in her, her self-esteem had gone up, her confidence, just after one session. And after a second session, I never saw her again.
You did your job too well.
Exactly.
Yes. I love, when I first started with the Reiki, I really loved the idea that we can manifest some of the things that are going on with us emotionally or spiritually into our physical lives. And that's the part of Reiki that I really took to at that particular time, that you could have these physical ailments and go in for a Reiki treatment hoping to help your, arthritic knee or your low back pain or your headaches or, that type of thing. And that because it's energy, it's going to go to where it needs to go for your highest good, not just for what you think it needs to go for as the patient. So, there's lots of times when I would be practicing Reiki and the client would be trying to go through a whole health history and all kinds of information. And I would stop them and say, I was also a massage therapist at that time, and say, I need that information for the massage therapy aspect when we get to that. But for a Reiki treatment, I don't need to know anything because it doesn't matter. I'm not in charge here. You are. And the energy is going to go for your highest good, whatever that is. So if you're having low back pain because you are stuck and afraid to move forward, then that energy isn't going to go and heal your low back pain. That's not for your highest good. You're still going to be stuck and won't move forward. It's going to go to help you create balance with whatever that issue is that is causing you to feel stuck and afraid. And that
Yeah.
often comes out in all kinds of different areas in life that you as the practitioner, you as the Reiki master or the Reiki practitioner, you can't possibly understand what is going to happen for them. So I would find
Exactly.
that so interesting, right?
Mm,
Trying to explain to the client afterwards, okay, you just have to leave your mind completely open because
yeah.
I have no idea how this is going to manifest for you. I don't know what the root cause of the problem is here. I
Mm,
just know that that's where the energy is going to go. And
yeah.
so you are going to be faced with a lot of opportunities. And it's
Mm,
important that you look at it in that way as
mm,
opportunities to heal and grow and learn from whatever aspect it is in your life that you need to do that. Did you
yeah.
find that yourself personally when you first found your way to Reiki, that you were having these opportunities in your life to correct the path, heal, grow, learn yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, I think Reiki was a bit of a stepping stone into the spiritual thing. So, like I said, I'd sort of been interested in ghosts and when I was younger, and I think the Reiki, learning about the energy and vibration, sort of started me on this path. So I went to see a medium, then I started learning about crystals, and I just I just started being drawn, and I just felt like this insatiable thirst, do you know what I mean, to find out more. So I was
Yes.
going to loads of mind, body and soul fairs, and I wanted to understand how how everything sort of went together and how everything sort of worked. So yeah, so with the Reiki, I felt like it sort of started me on the path of self-healing. I didn't realize how long it would actually take.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to someone the other day, yesterday, I was interviewing a lady, and you know, she said I've got 46 years worth of healing to do, Lindsay, and she says, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I said, you know what? I said it's so true, because when you start on this journey, whether you just go for, you know, if you go for a Reiki session to begin with, you might not even realize it, but that might be the very beginning of your healing journey. And it doesn't just work, like it's not like a one solution sort of works for all.
That's
You know,
right.
you try different things, and every time what I find, I don't know if you found this, Lisa, but every time you learn a new tool or something comes up for you, then sometimes something that you think, oh, I've already healed that part of me, will come up again because you've learned a different way of healing it.
Yes.
Do you find that?
Absolutely. And
Mm,
I find that some people, when they've done a whole lot of work to try to heal a particular aspect of their life, and then they go on for maybe 5, 10 years even, and then it seems to rear its ugly head again, they
yeah.
tend to get really disappointed and think, oh no, I didn't heal that after all. Oh no, I've obviously been ignoring that for the last
Mm,
10 years. And I had no idea I was struggling, and they feel like they failed in some way. But
yeah.
I love the way that you've just worded that, where it's like,
Mm,
no, you've actually learned things along this way. And now you've got another opportunity to add another healing layer to the mix,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, definitely.
wonderful. So
Mm,
now you have gone through your fair share of difficulties, of course, with
yeah.
having the divorce
Hmm.
and finding yourself kind of stuck in that rut, as it were, when you, even before the divorce, when it's just
Mm,
kind of like rinse and repeat life, isn't it, where it's just
yeah.
go to work, come home, feed the kids, bath time, bedtime, go sleep, go to
Yeah.
work, come home, that
Mm,
type of thing. And then in the process of your revelation and your own healing journey, that kind of was the catalyst of changing you to such a degree that you ended up in a divorce. Is that right?
yes. Yeah. So my best friend Lisa had passed away on my 36th birthday from cancer, and it was, you know, it was expected. We knew that she was going to pass, but the grief just hit me so hard. And you know, prior to her passing, like my grandma and granddad had passed away, but that had been sort of 16 years earlier, and you
Right.
know, they'd been of the age where they were ready to pass. So for me, this was like, it was a real shock, even though it was expected, like to how emotionally raw this grief felt. And I just felt, I just realized, I think then, how numb I'd become to everything around me.
Yeah.
So like you said earlier, you know, I felt like I was just doing Groundhog Day every day, and I was getting up, do it, like looking after my kids, going to bed, having the same conversations. and just doing the same stuff. And after Lisa had passed, I'd been visiting my parents up in Newcastle. And I said to them, I said, look, I need to go to this Mind, Body and Soul fair because I feel like I need something. I don't know what, but I need something. So I went and had something called access bars done. It was like a taster session. And he touched some points on my head, touched my feet, and then touched my head again. And I walked out and I just thought, that didn't do anything. What a load of rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And even being spiritual, I was in that mindset at the time. I was like, hasn't worked. But I went home and set my first boundary to my husband, and he didn't like it, which started the whole snowballing of sort of the divorce. And then we were both advised to live together for 6 months. So during that 6 months was when I really utilized like every single tool I'd sort of spent the previous 10 years learning. So I compare my spiritual journey to that of the tortoise and the hare, where I was the tortoise. Yeah. It was very slow and gradual up until the point of my friend passing. And then from then, it was like, right, you need to put these tools into practice if you want to get through this.
This is the perfect spot for a quick break to talk about the planner that changed my life, Daily Greatness. These planners will absolutely blow your mind. Far from a traditional planner, these planners help you overcome your weaknesses, focus on the positive, find and follow your purpose and mission in life, set exciting goals, and follow up on those goals. We all know that our outcomes and results in life are determined by our daily habits. These planners give you the foundation for success that you need to make you more likely to succeed at achieving your goals and reaching your potential. Seriously, they're that good. They have their original version, plus one for business, success, yoga, wellness, and parents. That's 6 versions to help in any situation. To learn more, go to lifelikeyoumeanit.com/planners. Once again, that's lifelikeyoumeanit.com/planners. This link will also be in the show notes. I've created a free 30-day challenge to help you transform your mindset and your emotional well-being. For 30 days, you'll receive a daily email packed with goodness, including a new mindset exercise for you to tackle, as well as fun things like meditations. All you need to do is to commit to this challenge by registering and then opening the emails each and every day and completing your challenges. Simple, right? If you said yes, then you're ready and you know that you deserve this. You can register for free by going to lifelikeyoumeanit.com/challenge. You can also find this link in the show notes. Amazing. And so now you've been on such a journey where do you still regularly go to mediums yourself, or are you doing a lot of that channeling yourself now?
Yeah, so I'm doing, I'm actually channeling what I don't know if you've heard of the Pleiadeans, which are sort of a type of higher being. Right. But that's who I'm channeling at the minute. I do sort of mediumship work. I do tarot cards, I do angel cards. So I do all that for myself. And I do have friends who do it as well. So if I feel like, for me, when I look at my own tarot cards, I just can't be, what's the word? Where you just can't read them for yourself, because
you can't be impartial, can you?
Yeah, that's the word, impartial. I can't be impartial with my tarot cards. So if I do my own cards, I take a photo, send it to my friend and go, can you just tell me what this means?
Yeah, I love it.
Because it's nice to have another opinion. So sometimes I do sort of, I haven't had, I think the last time I had my own medium reading was about 18 months ago. And I think they are good, if you are looking for evidence of afterlife. If someone's recently passed, and maybe you feel you haven't had that sort of being able to say goodbye, or there's something you feel you need to get off your chest, then I think it is a nice way to sort of get that evidence and to get a little bit of clarification that, there are people around you in the spirit world who are watching you, who basically have your back, and who are really rooting for you in different situations.
That's incredible. And with all of that work that you do now, does that change your perspective at all about the passing of your friend Lisa and preparing for your own passing one day as well?
Yeah, definitely. So like I said, she passed away in 2016, and it was only in August this year where she suddenly, I was in a tent trying to meditate at a festival, and all of a sudden she'd appeared in front of me,
Oh,
and
wow.
she was like pulling funny faces, and I was like, Lisa, I'm trying to meditate. I was like, it's awesome you're here and I really want to talk to you, but I'm trying to, there's a massive group of people here and I'm trying to meditate. But she sat in front of me, and she told me, she went, I can do this now, Lindsay, I can speak to you because I've been practicing with other people. And I was like, all right, great, I'm really pleased for you. And then she just started bringing up all these memories that we'd had together, and I had to leave the tent, and I broke down and I was sobbing. And I think I hadn't, again, it's, you think, oh, I dealt with that grief at the time, but because I've learned so much since in the 3 years, it was another opportunity to revisit that grief and heal it in another way. But yeah, like I have no fear of death. I do believe that when your time is up, your time is up. And I do believe that once you cross over, then there is an opportunity to, come back and see your loved ones or speak to them, etc. So yeah, I have no fear of death.
That is so incredible. Oh, I'm so intrigued now. So tell us what it is like to channel was it called Pleiadian
Pleiadians,
energy?
yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what it's like to channel or to get these messages for either yourself or other people. What's the whole experience like?
Well, it's I started doing it. So when I started writing my book, was it last year I wrote it? I can't remember now. But when I started writing it, I would sit there and I would just say, right, I would just ask, I would just say, what do you want me to write about in this book? And I would just start writing. And then it's like my mind would go blank, and it wasn't me thinking thoughts to write. I was just writing. It's a bit like automatic writing, really. And then as time's gone on and I've realized more, I was reading some books about the Pleiadians, and there's so much stuff in there that was written sort of back in the 1970s. And I've been in it. I was like, oh my God, I've inadvertently been channeling them for like the last 20 years without realizing it. So like conversations that I've had with people. So for example, when I was 18 and when I was at school, there was a big conversation like, how did the world begin? Was it the Big Bang or was it evolution? And I was the only one who said, I think we're part of a big experiment and there's like aliens or people out there watching us. And everyone laughed. And I was like, right, I'm never saying that again then. And then last year, I kept saying to people, I was like, right, the word should needs to be eradicated from the dictionary, because when we use the word should, or I should have done this or I should have done that, it then makes you feel like you're at fault with something, or like there's some shame in not doing something. And then when I was reading this book again from the 70s, it said exactly the same thing. And I was like, oh my days. I was like, this has blown my mind a bit.
Wow.
But yeah, what happens is I get like a tickle on my crown chakra, and I can feel like, I don't know how to explain it, as if like there's something around the top of my head. And I know then that they have a message for me. So sometimes it's when I'm driving. So I have to say, look, guys, you got to leave me alone whilst I'm driving. I'll do it when I get home. And then yeah, I just
like, okay.
So then I'll come home and I'll just sit, and sometimes I can sort of go quite quickly into it and just start writing, and sometimes it comes a bit. So I can read you a bit if you like. I can read you something if you've got time. It's
absolutely, yeah.
So this one was for it was for sort of a message for therapists and healers. So it says, "Our dear loved ones, as time moves on, we are getting closer to our new way of living, spiraling and ascending towards light and love. For those of you already practicing, keep faith and continue, for soon you will be in huge demand. Your services will be needed. Whilst anxiety and stress amplify during times of uncertainty and crisis, you stand together. Come as one, shine your light, step into your power of being the light. It is time to unite, to move forward together."
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. So how do you know that, I mean, I know, but I'm sure that there are other people listening that be like, but how do you know that that is the words of something else that you're channeling rather than your own thoughts?
It's because, right, so my vocabulary is not very extensive. So sometimes when I'm writing, then they give me words that I'm looking at and I'm like, I know that it's a word, but I have no idea what it means. And it's
Right.
the same in readings as well. When I'm giving readings sometimes, I'll say to someone, look, I don't understand what this word means, but I have to I'll include it in the reading. And they give me songs as well. So sometimes I end up singing to my clients.
That's awesome.
I used to do pay as you feel readings on my Facebook page, and I'd just be sat there singing like Katy Perry or Pink or something and bits of it. So
I love
yeah.
it. Oh my
And
gosh. So these readings that you do, are you able to do them over distance? So like over Zoom or Skype or something along those lines, or do you need to physically have the person near you?
no, so since it's funny because when in Reiki we learn about distance healing, don't we, and about
Yes.
sending it to other places and everything. And even though I learned that nearly 10 years ago, in my mind, I couldn't work out how it was going to work. And it's only really been since January this year where I'd watched like a program about energy and vibration and space. And the penny just dropped. And I was like, oh my God, I can do this via distance. So I started experimenting first with Reiki. And then I tried doing chakra checks on people
Right.
via distance, and that worked. So I had a lady who was a guinea pig, and I said to her, I said, I feel as if your solar plexus chakra is really blocked. And I said, I feel as if it's something to do with apples. Anyway, so I recorded it, because what I do is when I do my readings, I record them and then I just send them via WhatsApp or via
Right.
email. So yeah, no one has to be with me. And she said, oh, Shwen, I made an apple juice, Lindsay, this morning with 7 apples with their skin on. She went, I've never felt so bloated in my life. She said, my stomach literally swollen. And it's obviously around that area. So yeah, so I do chakra checks via distance. I do readings. No, you don't have to be with me. All I need is your full name and a number or an email address, and I can do them. I've recently started doing past life readings, which is really interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and again, it's just tuning in and just asking and just saying, right, I just say, right, who is this person in a past life? Where do I need to be? And then I normally get given like a country, whether you're male or female, sort of your age, and then just some details around your past life. And then I do a few cards with it just for clarification. And I just ask them, I just say, right, what does this person need to know from this past life? Like
Right.
now, how is that past life relevant in this lifetime?
That is so awesome. So, Lindsay, I can only imagine when you are doing this kind of work, you must have to protect your own energies and keep yourself grounded. So, do you have any top tips for how any of the listeners can do something similar to ground themselves and keep themselves protected from other people's energies?
Yeah, so this was one of the most important things I think I ever learned from learning my Reiki level 1. And it made such a difference when I went back into sort of like the retail environment. So I've practiced them myself, being in that really stressful corporate environment, as well as being like a busy full-time mum. So these tips do work, but it's just getting into the habit. So the first one I recommend is first thing in the morning, if you can, is to put your feet flat on the ground, and then imagine tree roots coming out of the base of your feet, going all the way down through the earth, and then anchoring into like a bright orange ball in the center of the earth. And then imagining that orange light coming back up through your roots, up through your legs, up through your hips, all the way through your body, out to the top of your head, and putting you into like an orange bubble.
Oh.
So that's one way you can ground and protect yourself.
That sounds beautiful. I'm just visualizing that while you were talking about it. But oh yeah,
write down, shouldn't I?
yeah, that feels so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, what else do you got for us?
Okay, so there's other things you can do, and this is a nice one to teach children as well. Is if your kids are having a hard time at school, or maybe there's someone picking on them or whatever, what they can do is imagine that putting on sort of like a knight like armor.
Yeah.
So putting on like a knight's helmet, putting on the armor, having a sword, having a shield, and just allowing them to feel as if they've got like an extra layer of protection on them.
Yep.
I tell my children as well that if they're ever in trouble, to ask Archangel Michael to come in and help. So that's another way of protecting yourself. You can go outside in your bare feet. and put your feet on the grass. Walking in the sand is awesome for grounding and protecting yourself.
Yeah.
You can use crystals. So I have pieces of black tourmaline in my front door and my back door. And what that does is it stops any negative energy coming in.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah. And the other thing that I do very regularly now is I smudge myself with
Yes.
sage constantly. And I smudge the kids. And
Yes, yes. I've given some smudge sticks to some friends as gifts before, and oh man, the looks on their faces. Some of them, you want me to do what? I'm like, no, seriously, it's a real thing. Like, I do this all the time to my house and myself and my kids and stuff too.
yeah,
That is
it's
fantastic.
difference.
It does. It does. It makes a huge difference. That is fantastic. So now, these are things that you recommend people doing daily, not just people who are actually in tuned and can do mediumship like you can and can do the channeling. This is we're talking about protecting yourself from all of the different energies that are around, right? Because everybody is giving off their own energy. And if you've got somebody who's in a really bad mood, we've all had this experience when we're in a room, maybe even a room full of people, and somebody walks in and it's like the whole mood changes. And you don't even have to turn around and see that somebody has moved in. You can feel it, right? You turn around and you see there's a new face to this party and they've just changed everything, right? And so it's things like that. You've got a meeting to go to, and maybe you're nervous about that meeting, but maybe it's just, no, I'm going to be in a space, a closed space with other people. And I want to make sure that I am protecting myself, keeping my energy to myself, their energy to them. And I can allow universal energy to pass through me if they would accept that Reiki healing, because that can come out through just looking at them. We don't have to be touching them as well. But the important part is having that kind of barrier up, which is different from putting your guard up, right?
It is very different.
Yeah.
And if you think as well, like there are some people who have to go to work with people that they don't necessarily like as well.
Yes.
Doing that every day, it can be so draining as well. So what this can do is, by grounding and protecting yourself in the morning and then through the days you need it, it can mean that you come home feeling like that bit less tired and that bit less drained, because you're not, I call them energy vampires. Some people will suck the joy literally right out of you, and they'll try and tap into your sort of energy as well.
Some people, they see that you have this radiance about you, right? They see the joy that you have in your heart, and they want it, right? They want to feel that way, and they don't necessarily mean any harm, but they don't know how to get that themselves other than to just try to take it from you. Right? And so that's where the energy vampire comes from. I use that term as well. I love it. I think it's so apt. So that is excellent. So this is everyday techniques that you can use in your everyday life to help keep that energy of yours intact and positive, and not allow the energy of other people. That includes their mood and their behavior as well, right? That's not going to affect you in the negative at all. That's incredible.
Just one more thing as well. I think as well, if someone is in a bad mood and what they're doing is they're making you feel bad. But I think as well, another thing is recognizing what is their stuff and what is yours. So where is that line between someone being in a bad mood and you being in a bad mood? So if it's their stuff for them to deal with. You don't need to take that on. Do you know what I mean? Creating that boundary as well for yourself.
Yes, that is incredibly good advice. Yes, I love that. So now, you've mentioned before about your book. Can you just give us a little bit of information? Does your book talk about all this kind of stuff? What's it called? Where can we get it?
Yeah, so I self-published it, so it's available on Amazon. It's called A Gentle Hug for the Soul, and it contains what I would say are sort of like foundation tools, if you like, things that like such as gratitude, mindfulness. I talk about spirit guides, angels, and I incorporate sort of my experience of what I've learned and my journey. And then I also include practical tips on how you can start to incorporate these different tools into your daily life as well. So I wrote it following my divorce and having to moving out of the family home and everything. Because when I look back at that time, I just thought, oh my God, if I hadn't have had all of these tools to help me get through this, I could have, like, life could have been so much worse. I could have had a nervous breakdown. I could have lost my children, but having these tools for me really just helped me stay in the present, not worry about the future, and really stay grounded. So
Absolutely.
that's
And I love that you include tools, because I think that is so important. I know that when I was on the early stages of my healing journey, because I was healing from 10 years of child abuse, and when I first started healing, it was books that I had turned to, and I wasn't turning to books that were helping you overcome child abuse. I was going to spiritual books, trying to adapt the way that I looked at life and my place in the world. Right. And so it was opening my mind to the possibilities of life after death, and having guides, and having a higher self, and choosing the life that you come into, and the big life lessons that you want to learn, and the people that are in your life being a major part of helping you to learn those lessons. And so just really changing my whole perspective. But my problem in the beginning was that I was reading these incredible books that had all of these amazing thoughts in there that I would highlight, and I might even write down on like sticky notes and things like that. But I wasn't implementing them, right? Whether the books themselves didn't have any top tips or tools to actually get me doing them on a day to day, or I just wasn't ready at that time. But when I look back at some of these books that made such a huge difference later, when I was ready to actually do the work, they all had tools, right? They all had advice, even if it was just every day you should do this, 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 and just start getting a new habit going. But the ones that actually had me write down things and take time at the end of my day to self-reflect and all of these types of things really made the huge difference. It wasn't enough to just invest in the cost of the book and then the investment of time to read the book. You had to actually implement them. So to have your book have tools, show them how to implement it, I think is absolutely key.
It's interesting because I was talking to this lady yesterday, and unbeknown to me, I'd sent her a copy of my book last year, and she told me yesterday in this interview that she'd actually felt really suicidal at the time. And she said, I read your book, Lindsay, and she said it just shifted something for me and made me realize that I am meant to be here. And she said, after reading your book, Lindsay, she said, I didn't feel like that suicidal anymore. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And that's why I wrote it, because I didn't want people to feel alone at any time, do you know what I mean, in their lives. And also when I was going into like some of the bookstores, and I mean, like, my bookcase is massive, and I've started lending my books out now, because I'm like, I have read all these books now, but I would find these massive thick books on mindfulness and on gratitude and on things that are actually really simple. But if you're just new and getting into sort of learning the different tools, you don't want a massive thick manual, which is all about the science, necessarily the science. It's like, this is what mindfulness means. This is how you can start to implement it in your daily life. And like I said, as a full-time mum, I'm busy, and these are things that I can implement with 2 small children. So I feel like it can be used for everyone.
That is wonderful. So now you're writing a second book, aren't you?
I am, yes.
And when are you hoping that will be released?
I'm hoping it's going to be out before Christmas. So I'm self-publishing this one as well. And my copywriter was on maternity leave. So I'd started writing in February this year, but I've been a bit lax with it. And now she's back. I'm like, right, I've got a deadline. So I've got 2 weeks to get finished.
Excellent. Do you know what the title of this book is going to be?
I think it's going to either be Dancing with the Universe, What Your Soul Needs You to Know.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to include the links for all your social media for people to be able to follow you, as well as your current book that you have up on Amazon. But keep us posted, keep us updated for the release of the second book, and I'll put it into the show notes, and I will update them when you've got that book up and running, so that people can find that as well, because that just sounds absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for coming on, being so open with us about spirituality and about, talking to or opening up your mind and grounding yourself and protecting your energy and giving us some insight to what it's like to channel spirits from the other side. I mean, it's just incredible. We're going to have you back on for sure, because this was really great. And I just know that there are going to be so many people that are going to take away so much from this episode.
I hope so.
You're making an incredible difference in the world. So keep at it. And thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. Thank you.
You are welcome. How cool was that? I learned so much from Lindsay today, and I know you did too. From what spirituality means to her, her spiritual journey using Reiki and access bars to allow her to have the awakening she needed. And now she's dedicated to helping others along their spiritual journey. And how interesting was it to learn about what it feels like to channel energy with messages from the other side? I've got to admit that fascinates me. And I'll be completely honest with you, as soon as we stopped recording, the first thing I said to Lindsay was, Lindsay, I need a reading from you. Honestly and truly, she's preparing for my reading as we speak. I absolutely love her tips for grounding and protecting yourself daily. They really are simple steps you can take. It's just about getting the time to create new habits. As we all know, it takes time to really instill a new habit. So make a pact with yourself right now to implement at least one of her tips starting tomorrow. Do you remember what they are? 1. Grounding yourself by placing your feet flat on the floor, visualizing roots from your feet penetrating through the earth, anchoring into an orange ball whose energy then travels up your legs and out your head into an orange bubble surrounding you. 2. Put on imaginary armor. 3. Ask Archangel Michael for help. 4. Go outside in your bare feet and stand on the grass or walk with your toes in the sand. 5. Start using crystals. Lindsay recommends black tourmaline at your front and back doors to block negative energy from entering your home. 6. Smudging yourself, your family, and your whole home with a sage stick will also protect and cleanse from negative energy. And 7, recognize what is their stuff and what is yours. You don't have to take on someone else's bad mood or problems, no matter how they're treating you. A lot of the time, it's simply about them. Don't worry if you're scrambling for a pen and paper to get all this down, because it will all be in the show notes. You know what else I'll put in the show notes? You guessed it. All Lindsay's details, including her social media links, her website, and the link to purchase her book on Amazon. If you'd like to book a reading with Lindsay like I did today, she recommends you follow and message her on her Facebook page, NRG Healing. That's literally the letters NRG and the word healing. And yep, that link will be in the show notes. Thank you to my amazing guest today, Lindsay Banks, for all these incredible tips and the open discussion about spirituality and channeling energy from the other side. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Life Like You Mean It podcast. Now go decide which of Lindsay's tips you're going to commit to starting tomorrow morning.
Thanks for listening to the Life Like You Mean It podcast. Head on over to the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at www.lifelikeyoumeanit.com/blog. If you love the show, leave a rating and review. Share that love by spreading the word. Post a link to your social media. Share it with your friends and follow or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast hosting site. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, remember to live your life on purpose by living life like you mean it.